This is insanely cool. I did not expect to stumble upon this today. You gotta see this. So just sitting and relaxing on this bench. We've got a lot to cover today, and I mean a lot, because I spent pretty much all of yesterday going through 200 comments in order to put together today's video. But first, hi bird, and there he is. Albo's lending me some gear for a project that I've got coming up, starting with this right here. Albo's gotta go, which means so today we're doing a Q&A, and it's gonna be a little bit of a special one. So the first one is, have you ever gotten kicked out of a public establishment in Japan? Yes, I have. You see this tiny little tattoo right here? I got kicked out of a gym back in 2008 because of that tattoo. I was in the middle of working out and the guy came up to me and was like, sorry, you have a tattoo. You're gonna have to leave. They took my picture and were like, we'd appreciate it if you didn't come back. Most places in Japan have actually been pretty understanding about the tattoo, and in all fairness, the last time I was kicked out was like 2009. But it was surprising considering how small of a tattoo it is. But I've never been kicked out of an establishment in Japan for anything super serious, so there we go. Another one that I wanted to jump right into is, have you ever made a huge cultural mistake when speaking Japanese to a native speaker? Like something really embarrassing. I've definitely made Japanese mistakes. Some of them, yeah, somewhat embarrassing. I think one that comes straight to mind is... Alright, super quick. In the edit of this, I realized that the story that I tell here got way longer than I intended, so to keep it short, I've cut it out. But in exchange, what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss it into the podcast tonight, and I'll link that below. Let's jump right back into this with me saying something like, so if I can state the obvious for a second and say a non-native speaker of a language will always be a non-native speaker, and so I don't feel that we are judged as harshly as we think we are. Like, think about when a non-native English speaker speaks to you. In fact, English might not even be your native language. We don't really judge, so yeah. Another one that I got that I liked is, have you ever gone an entire day without speaking or writing English at all? And yes, I have. My first year in Japan, I put myself into as many of those days as physically possible, and it had a bit of an adverse effect. You see, after an entire year of trying not to use English, I went back to Canada and went to a coffee shop called Tim Hortons, and when I made my order, I couldn't understand what the staff was saying to me and had a real embarrassing little moment there. So it was less that I couldn't catch what they were saying and more that I couldn't catch one specific thing they were saying. I ordered a tea and they were like, bag in? And I was like, what? And they're like, bag in. And I was like, no, just the tea. And they're like, no, do you want the bag in the tea? That was embarrassing. Alright, here's a good one. Have you ever thought that it was a mistake to move to Japan? No, I haven't. I really haven't, and I don't think... And if I did, honestly, I wouldn't be here. But on the exact same note, I think this is one of the situations where you have a choice. There are so many things in life that you cannot control, but you can control your perspective and your mindset on things. Japan being just like any other country, there are goods and bads. Life here, just like life anywhere else, has its good days and its bad days. It's really what you make of it. And I feel this fits in really nicely with the next question, which is, have you ever detested a part of Japanese society or culture? Perhaps early on when you first moved to Japan. Admittedly, the cultural differences do feel the biggest when you first get here, but I wouldn't say that I've gone so far as to hate it. There was a while before starting this vlog though that I started to get into kind of a negative mindset, and I really didn't like the way I was thinking, which is what has brought us to this point of me doing this right now, so that I'm putting the accountability on myself to keep the positive mindset. I hope that answers that. Also, I am thoroughly lost right now and I kind of love it. Exploring the back streets, seeing stuff I've never seen. And actually that brings to mind two more questions, which was, have you ever gotten really, really lost in Japan? Or have you ever gotten just a little bit too drunk in Japan? I have a story behind both of those, but I think I'm gonna have to do an entirely separate video on it because it's way too much fun to just drop into a Q&A like this. Alright, so another one was, have you ever played or been interested in playing a Japanese instrument other than the tsugaru shamisen that you play? Not really. It was actually never even my plan to play the shamisen. Japan does have a few really interesting musical instruments, but I've never really thought about playing any of the others. Also, always amazed at the amount of greenery and beauty that you can find right in Tokyo. Like, I found this little shrine. Check this out. See, this is the benefit to exploring and getting lost. I love finding these hidden little green spots and little temples. Another one was, have you ever tried an art other than photography? Like knitting, painting, crochet. Believe it or not, when I was young, I was an avid knitter. My mom loves knitting and I kind of wanted to get into it with her, see if I could make some stuff. It was fun. I haven't done it in a long time. And this next one's fun. I like this next one. And to answer this next one, I'm gonna have to jump back earlier in the day, and as I do that, I'm gonna walk through this beautiful green park. So we're back here with Albo right now, and actually I've cut back to this scene because there's one question that I wanted to answer with Albo, and as somebody asked, have you ever done any extreme sports in Japan? Yes, I have. In fact, we used to go to the same gym.
They do something very extreme. Extreme martial arts. Martial arts mixed with flips and gymnastics and breakdancing, so it's pretty awesome.
It is really awesome, and actually we've done it at the same gym here in Japan, and some of the guys there are insane.
Yeah, we should go again.
Let's do it. Yeah. Alright, thanks man. Okay, getting back to it, I'll just go like, so yeah, that one's a resounding yes. Mind you, I haven't done it in a long time, and I think I've got to get back into it, so I'm really liking this park though. And one that I think ties in really nicely to that last one is, have you ever broken a bone? Yeah, I have. It was actually one of my first times ever doing a backflip. You know what, long story short, I landed on my head and somehow broke my toe. I broke my toe. Another one is, have you ever won an award? I've won a few awards actually. Actually, most recently was last year's shamisen competition. I took home the judge's special prize in the BQ or B class of the competition. I feel like I've kind of come to a dead end, but I really want to know what's down here. You know, while I'm walking through, the next question is, have you ever wandered around random spots of Tokyo with no direction or purpose just to see where you'd end up? It's kind of exactly what we're doing right now. See, look at this. You would not expect this tiny little space to lead to something, and yet it does. And this is one of the things that I love about walking around Tokyo the most, is that there are so many secret little hidden pathways like that one, which lead to little areas like this. So apparently this place is called the Grove of Life. Okay, so this is insanely cool. I did not expect to stumble upon this today. Look at this. It's got little seating areas over here. So a tired traveler can just sit down and enjoy. This is a beautiful view. You gotta see this. Just sitting and relaxing on this bench, you get all of this. There's like a little table and chair area here. Oh, this is spectacular. I think I'm gonna need to leave a Google Maps link to this down below so that anybody who's in Tokyo can find it. The security guard just told me that it is closed on Thursdays. Wow. Spiderweb. Amazing place. And another one that I really liked here is, have you ever met a Japanese person who's more Canadian than you? First of all, I don't know how Canadian I am. Maybe very, eh? Like, I don't know if I would say that I've met someone who's more Canadian than me, but while I was in Canada, my Japanese friends definitely knew more about my hometown and about Toronto than I did. All of the coolest spots that I've been to in Toronto or in my hometown were all introduced to me by my Japanese friends. But I also just kind of think that that's the way it goes, right? Like, how about you? Have you ever had somebody who's like not from where you live, but they've taught you something really cool about the area? Like, that's gotta be a thing, right? It can't just be my imagination. Slightly random one. Have you ever written a computer program? I've written many computer programs. My major in university was computer programming, so hey. Which, now that I think about it, brings me back to that question of bad choices. When I started, I thought I loved computer programming and that's what I wanted to do forever. But it wasn't until like second or third year of university that I realized I really, A, I can't stand computer programming, and B, I don't actually like computers that much. Oh, but I was determined to see it through, so I did finish, but I haven't programmed since, so. Also, there was one that asked if I had ever been complimented on my shamisen playing by an older Japanese person. I used to do a few street performances here and there, especially during festivals, and like the old people will put in like between 10 and 50 bucks a pop. They request songs and everything and they know it, right? Like they know whether it's good or whether it's not good. Well, some of them do. And yeah. Oh, and since this one links up to the video that led up to this video, I wanted to answer this one as well, which is asking if I regretted not working for Apple considering that I was headhunted. Not in the least. I am steadfast in that decision and I'm happy to be right here with you guys. Shamisen case gets really heavy after a while. I desperately need coffee. Alright, so there are literally dozens and dozens of questions left, but there are two more that I want to answer for today. I know it makes for some moderately harsh lighting conditions, but I really just love being able to see the sunset just right out my window. I feel like the balance here is all off. I need something. There we go. That feels better. So the first one is, have you ever felt your safety under threat in Japan? I think everybody knows that Japan is a really safe country in general, but there is one time that I kind of didn't feel as safe as usual, and that was during the 2011, 2011 March 11th earthquake. And it wasn't just the earthquake. The earthquake in its own was terrifying, but then there was the whole thing with the nuclear plant and the radiation and everything after that. But I am a huge believer in kind of taking responsibility wherever I can. So with myself and my family back home being worried about the radiation and, you know, wondering if Tokyo is safe, I got a Geiger counter. And I checked for myself. And yeah, Tokyo was safe. All right, and that brings us to the last question for today's Have You Ever Q&A, and it's, have you ever been lonely in Japan? Of course I have. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Especially when I first got to Japan, as a bunch of my friends had just left, it was like, whoa, what do? I'm kind of completely on my own. And there wasn't the social media options that there are today, like Instagram and Twitter, to connect with people. So I had to kind of make the effort to go out there and meet people on my own, join things, do events, festivals, everything like that. But it paid off. It's still hard to this day sometimes because I have a really big family and I'm really close with my family, so to be away from them for extended periods of time, like I was away from my family, I think at the longest point for 3 years. 3 years! This past Christmas was the first time I had gone back to Canada in 3 years. So it can be lonely, but again, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's 1,000 different ways to connect with my loved ones back home and connect with people here in Japan, not to mention around the world. Actually think I'm gonna need to turn on the lights. And I think that's the bulk of the questions that I'm gonna do today. I was hoping to do a lot more questions. So I have a question for you guys. I have literally dozens of really good have you ever questions remaining. I've broken them down into categories like Japan stuff, travel stuff, really personal stuff, kind of funny stuff. Would you guys prefer deeper answers or faster answers? Like, you know. Let me know below. Thank you guys so much for being with me today. This was a lot of fun and I cannot wait to do it again. Don't forget to give that like button some love. Leave me something in the comments. You know I love talking to you in there. And yeah, we will see you guys again real soon.